Hello all, back again, back on camera. Cheers for all the nice comments and feedback on the room. It was quite a scruffy room tour, to be fair, with minimal lighting, shall we say. I have actually got spotlights in the ceiling, but I tend not to have them on during the day. Well, at any time really. I'm not a big fan of overhead lights. So once I get some, I don't know, spotlights, put a couple of lamps around, I think the room will be a bit better. But the main issue was, looking back at the video, it was quite grainy and scruffy. But never mind. It's a scruffy channel, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's been nice to sit up here, be able to have the system set up now and play the games, because that's what it's all about for me. So with that in mind, another big thank you, and this time in particular to my mate and yours, Pete Sinestastic. He's helped me, he's got me out of a hole basically. So now that all the consoles are set up, I found that I was having to go round the back of the TV and swap out the SCART leads, and it's the weight of the CRT is all in the front end. So to move the TV and swap the SCART leads out was problematic, and the TV was always teetering on the edge of me kind of dropping it and smashing my feet, or even worse, breaking the telly. The walls were getting scuffed to fuck as well. So there was no doubt about it. I needed a SCART box, like a SCART switcher box. So I went online and I was looking at, I wanted something decent quality where I weren't going to lose the picture quality. So I was looking at the G-SCART, I was looking at the Hydra. Retro Gaming Cables make one as well, but they appear to be out of stock. So I've been chatting with Pete about it over a few days, and he asked me, he said, how many, is it specifically a 6 switcher box you're looking for? And I said, no, it's not. I just need to be able to run something down to sit in one of the cubes of the Kallax unit, so that I can swap the SCARTs out, a bit easier than getting around the back of the TV. So he was like, right, I've got this 3-way switcher box, and I said, oh, you sure you don't need it? Blah blah blah. What's the picture quality like? So he did a video, and yeah, absolutely no loss at all. So Pete was like, it's yours if you want it. So top man that he is, he sent it my way. So it takes, obviously, it takes 3 SCART inputs, and then the top one's for the output. So I've got a Bandridge SCART. Is it an extender cable? No, it's just a Bandridge SCART that runs from that into the back of the TV, and yeah, works perfectly. There's no loss, and I can easily switch between 3 SCARTs. I mean, even if there was just one, that would have been spot on, just so that I can actually reach it without moving the TV. But having 3 means I can have a couple of mainstays always set up, probably the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, and then one to swap out as and when. So yeah, it works perfectly. There's absolutely no loss to sound or picture, and it's solved my problem and saved me a ton of money. So Pete, you legend, thanks ever so much again, mate. I know we've spoken over the phone, but really do appreciate you helping me out, pal. And I'll find a way to return the favour. So yeah, just been sat up here playing the games, which is good. In terms of like current gen gaming, I'm biding my time until the new Zelda comes out, to be honest. So nothing's really grabbing me. I tried to get into Assassin's Creed Origins, and I've not played an Assassin's Creed game since what was the one set in London? Syndicate, which I got about halfway into that and then kind of bailed. So yeah, I don't know, played 4 or 5 hours of Origins, and then kind of moved on. I actually started a game last year of Final Fantasy VII on the Switch. Being an N64 kid, I didn't play this back in the day on the PlayStation, so dipped into it last year, got stuck, and then I started playing it again a few days ago. Escaped from the point I got stuck on was, I can't remember where it was. I've just completed the section where I think, as far as I'm aware, I'm relatively early into the game, but escaped from Midgard. Now I'm on the world map and wandering around. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I might. When the missus is sat there of an evening playing her Switch, if I fancy giving it a blast, I will. See how I get on. But I mean, Final Fantasy X was my game in that franchise. Loved that back in the day on the PS2. So I don't know, 7, as much as it's a legendary game, like, it's got big shoes to fill in my book. But yeah, I shall. I don't know why I'm showing this. And it's picking up the blind and you can't see anything. So yeah, I might continue just pick it up and dabble in it for 15-20 minutes, but as soon as Zelda comes out in May, that's it. That is going straight on. Fucking dying to play Resident Evil 4, but I haven't got a Series X yet, so loads of my mates are playing it and they're texting me things over, and I'm just patiently biding my time until I can. I'm just waiting for the price of the Series X to come down. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna show these. So just top trumps, because I'm still collecting them. I'm still collecting the Fighting Fantasy books. Yeah, I can't be asked to make a set video, so I'm gonna show these now. So a couple of really old school ones. So we've got Cars, Warships, Land Speed Records. These are the super top trumps. These are the ones I got the nostalgia for. Me and my cousin used to rinse these. Snakes, spiders. I used to have a pet tarantula as a kid. A couple of really old school ones here. So we got British soccer stars and British cricketers. When I bought these two, I had half in mind that I was going to give them to my dad on perhaps Father's Day or whatever. But I don't know. I think he'll flick through them once and then he'll put them down and won't go back to them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll still pass them on. And then the final set of top trumps I picked up is Ford Cars. I'm actually quite disappointed with this set. I was expecting at least some Cortinas and some Capris, but there's none of that. I mean, there's loads of different variants of Escorts and Fiestas. I mean, there's some nice stuff, like a couple of, like they've got Cosworths and stuff. But yeah, there was quite a few that were lacking. So I was quite disappointed with this set. So I mean, with the top trumps, it's one of the things I'm collecting where there's like very little strategy to what I'm buying. Particularly if it's from the super top trumps range, and I'm looking at them on eBay, and if I like the look of them, I'm going for them. Some of them are creeping up a little bit in price. I can't think what they are off the top of my head. There's a couple of like fantasy ones, maybe Space Aliens is like Fantasy Demons or something like that, and they can fetch 20 or 30 quid. But for the most part, getting these for like 5-6 quid. Yeah. Something about these. It was, I keep coming back to this rationale for why I collect stuff like this. Why I've still got like the nostalgia for them, what's in my pockets. Micro Machines. I mean, I'll try not to go down the Micro Machines rabbit hole, but it is tempting. But it's because as primary school kids, we were allowed toys for breaks and lunchtimes, but the rule was it has to fit in your pocket. So it dictated like a lot of this stuff. that I'm into now. Just pure nostalgia. But yeah, very collectible. I'd like to find a way to display them. Yeah, look into that nearer the time. Got a book to show this. Dice Men. I was talking to Nick Berry about this. He's grabbed it as well. So yeah, it's the history of like Games Workshop essentially, and so not just the Fighting Fantasy books, but it's also like the Warhammer, all the stuff they were into. I mean, they did make a few. There was a bit of a foray into making computer games with them. They let me just remind myself what it's called. Text adventure game Tower of Despair, made by Games Workshop employees. There was a game on the Specky, Warlock Fire Top Mountain, which I'd like to get my hands on. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, for me, like, I was never into Games Workshop. I was never into. This is a cool picture. So this is the official opening, the first Games Workshop back in 1978. Some seriously 70s fashion on display. But yeah, that's a cool picture. I was never really into stuff like Warhammer and that, and I wish I was. I feel like I've missed out. Got mates who are bang into it, and they still to relax now, even though they're like old and married and got kids and that. They still sit and paint like the miniatures and stuff in their spare time. So yeah, this is a good book. It's kind of not one I'm going to sit and read cover to cover, but it's a good reference book and good to flick through. Right, board games. I've been buying board games. So there's select board games that I'm after. I mean, talk about missing out. I feel like I missed out on Hero Quest as a kid. Never had it, never played it. The re-release, I'm not too fussed about getting the re-release from a year or so ago. I feel like I missed the boat on that because last time I looked, supply was a bit thin on the ground online, so CEX are now starting to get hold of copies. People are putting them up on eBay for fair whack. So, but really, what I really want is to get my hands on an original set from, when did it come out? Late 80s, early 90s. But yeah, the cost is going to be prohibitive. There's 2 or 3 board games in particular I'm after, and they're all pricey on eBay. And what's the chances you're going to find them complete in a charity shop? Anyway, I'll show you what I have grabbed. So this was from a charity shop for £1. So it's a Blockbusters card game. It's probably a shit game, but I really liked Blockbusters as a kid. So I thought for £1, yeah, I'll grab that. And then a few weeks later, in another charity shop, I found the main game. This was £3. So for £4 I've got them both. It's all complete, it's all there, it's in nice nick. So I was going through it and just checking that all the pieces were there, and I was thinking, like, am I going to sit and play this game ever? I thought, well, if me and the missus sit there and play it just once, then I'll be happy with that. So yeah, got the Blockbusters. And this was £4 in the same charity shop. Never heard of it, but it looked interesting. In the shop, it was all, there's a bit of a ding on the back of the box, but I'm not too bothered. In the shop, it was all taped up. So I assumed that they checked the contents, but you do think like some of the people that work in the charity shop probably open this up and look inside it and think, well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Let's assume it's complete. But how much time have they actually taken to go through it? Go through it and check. Maybe they have. Maybe they have. Fair play to them. But the point is, I thought, well, I'll take a gamble and I'll get them home and I'll check them for a combined £8 there. And yeah, I was lucky because they were all there. So once I bring the surviving board games from my childhood to the house, once I fetch them from my mum's, I'll have a little board game collection going on, and then I'll see about, I don't know, maybe at some point or other I'll be able to get my hands on those few that I want, but they're pricey. So yeah, not much else. I'll just show these. So, bloke I work with in one of the youth hubs where we work sometimes, he's banging into his 70s and 80s progressive rock and metal and like heavy rock from the decade. So he lends me CDs by the bagful. So I've got a load of live albums here. There's a few more in the car, which I'm working my way through. Grand Funk Railroad, really like them. Really remind me of Led Zeppelin, they do. Bit of live, a Hawkwind, fucking hell, can't speak. Bit of live Hawkwind, that's good. I don't think Lemmy's on any of this. He's yeah, it's obviously not his era of Hawkwind. He's lending me, stuff I'm already familiar with, so stuff like King Crimson. This one in particular has got 4 different live recordings of 21st century Schizoid Man. And then Frippanino, that's a good album. Oh, it's not an album, it's a little EP. And loads of via him lending me music, I've discovered Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which is brilliant, and I'm banging to them now. So I'll be buying my own copies. What I've got here is a pile of. So he's banging to his Tangerine Dream. So it's all instrumental and electronic, and it's good. It's just very chilling in the car, like background music. So I'm working my way through all that. As I say, he's lent me music by the bagful, and I did think about doing trying to capture it all on video, like, and maybe review some of it, but thought about should I put it on a different channel, not sure. Maybe at some point capture some of the music stuff, but like I say, on a different channel perhaps. So yeah, I think that's it. Nothing else to say really. In terms of like buying and selling, so my collection's like largely where I want it to be now. There's still a few titles on each system that I want. There's still whole systems that I want, but it's timing. I've got other things to pay for. Still got lots of things to do around the house, so just biding my time. Things like, so in terms of like big hitters, say like I'm just priced out. I've definitely, when was it, 2000, I think it was, 2015, 16ish, I think, when I started collecting again, and I've just come into it too late. Back in, 2004, 2005, when my brother was buying the odd game on eBay, I wish I'd been bitten by the bug as well, and because he picked up think I've said this before, but he picked up a copy of the Zelda game on the Super Nintendo, mint, fully complete with the map, Book of Secrets. I always forget the name of the Zelda game on the SNES. Link to the Past. Picked all that up, like I say, mint condition, 25 quid. You know, now what are you paying for that? 300, 350. There were other games as well. You got Conker's Bad Fur Day, you know, big hitters, but I just weren't interested. I mean, lots of my original collections survived, and that they went up in the loft. Like my N64 collection, it was just boxed up, stored in the loft. So when I started collecting it in 2015, 2016, I was able to, all that stuff came out of the loft or wherever it was, and it was suddenly had like second life, and it was back on the shelf and I was playing it or whatever. And then I started building the collections up again, but come into it too late. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some games that I've spent maybe 25, 30, 40 quid on, which are now worth double that. But in terms of getting any of the big hitters, like, it's not going to happen. I'd love Shinobi 3 on the Mega Drive, but what are you paying for that? Like 100, 150 quid in the condition I would like it. So, and with the minis and stuff like that as well, it's getting harder to justify spending, for me at least, like spending big money on these big hitters. If it was a game that I had as a kid, then I would prioritise getting it. So I'd just save up and fucking get it. But I genuinely didn't have. Trying to think what my most expensive game would be that I had as a kid. I mean, I've got my original Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. They'd probably be quite pricey to get hold of now. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but yeah, generally speaking, like the real big hitters, I didn't have them, so I hadn't got that desperation to get them as much as there's, you know, a few titles I'd like. So yeah, just, I mean, with the collecting bug, like I have thought this, like what happens when I get to that point where I've got everything I want, and I'm gonna, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going for a full Fighting Fantasy set of all the green spines. That's going to take me a long time. But with the games, that point will come where I'm generally happy, and then I'll start missing the whole collecting and the hunt and that. So I've kind of already thinking ahead, like what am I going to do when I get to that stage? Spectrum, ZX Spectrum is an option because you can get them cheap. There's just countless games, and the only thing, just watched Burnt Out Culture earlier on. Like he was saying, Mark was saying that he buys them. He doesn't even test the tapes anymore, and I don't blame him. Like, you're buying them for the artwork, the collectability, but you can just sit and play them on your laptop now. You know, you can emulate them. So that's the route I would go down. So the Specky's a great option for if, you know, get to that stage where I'm happy with what I've got, but I want to collect computer games still. And likewise, the NES. I think the NES is a really good option as well, because the cartridges don't seem to yellow like the Super Nintendo ones do, and I'm going for loose carts. So the only variable really, the only thing to worry about would be label peel, and I can live with that, you know. So I could use CEX, I could whatever. It would just be easier to source the games because I'm only worried about what's the label like. I suppose the slip cases as well. That could be hit or miss, but I'd find that very collectible, and then I could start looking at imports and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, for now, I'm just going to sit up here, play the games, and just keep a nose in eBay. always keep a nose in eBay. But yeah, just I'm trying to just be very restrained this year about buying. Work situation's quite stable, but I will be looking at what the next movies for me, and it'd be lovely to have a bit of a pay rise, and then maybe I could start getting some of these big hitters ticked off. But anyway, it don't matter. So no, I'm going to wrap it up there. I've gone on 25 minutes of waffle. So thanks again, Pete, if you're still watching. Yeah, really appreciate you sending me the SCART box, and that's it from me. So I'll see you later.